Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We've got quite a stack of sources today, all shared by you actually, focusing on the crypto market for June 13th, 2025, a real snapshot in time.
That's right. Yeah, it's basically a collection of headlines, some excerpts. Look like mostly from contributors over on CoinMarketCap, all reporting today.
Right.
So it gives us a glimpse of the activity, the news that's hitting right now.
Okay, so let's dig in. The plan is to unpack this material you sent, pull out the key bits of info from this specific moment, and try to figure out what's really standing out today and why it matters for you trying to understand this whole space.
Sounds good.
So looking through this stack, the first thing, it's hard to miss, is the price action today, June 13th, widespread losses.
Yeah, pretty significant. One report gives some specifics, like as of 3 p.m. Korean Standard Time,
Okay.
Bitcoin BTC was down about 3.3%. Still north of $104,000, but down.
Right.
And ETH took a much bigger hit, down 9.18%. But interestingly, the same source mentioned not everything was bleeding. There was one asset they called AB, apparently up over 6%.
Okay. So mostly red, but not universally red.
Exactly. It's a bit more complex than just market down.
And speaking of complexity, or maybe just volatility, another big headline popping out from these sources is about liquidations. Massive amounts.
Oh, yeah, that number really jumped out. Over $1 billion in crypto positions liquidated.
$1 billion in just 24 hours.
In the last 24 hours reported, yeah. And the really key part, $943 million of that billion was from long positions. So people betting on prices going up, often with leverage.
Ouch. So they got wiped out when the market dipped.
Precisely. It's a stark reminder of, how fast things move and how risky leverage can be here. $1 billion cleared out in a day. That signals serious volatility.
It definitely does. So, okay, we see the dips, we see the liquidations. The natural question is why? Now, based only on what's in this source material you sent, does it give any clues?
Well, one source makes a very direct link.
Okay.
Yeah, one specific article we looked at states, pretty bluntly actually, that Israel's military actions caused a significant crypto market crash today.
It explicitly says that. Causation.
That's what this report claims, yes.
Yeah.
It attributes the big liquidations and the volatility we just talked about directly to geopolitical tensions stemming from those actions.
Oh, okay. Important to note that's what one source is reporting.
Absolutely. Just relaying what's in the material provided.
Right. But interestingly, this stack of articles isn't just about prices falling or these kinds of immediate, potentially external drivers.
No, not at all. There's other stuff happening concurrently, sort of longer-term developments almost.
Like what?
Well, for instance, there's some significant TradFi news, traditional finance news, right, in these reports.
Okay.
Mentions of BlackRock, the world's biggest asset manager.
Yep.
Apparently, reports suggest they have a pretty bold vision for their crypto assets under management, their AUM.
How bold?
They're apparently targeting $50 billion in crypto AUM by 2030.
$50 billion by 2030. That's quite a target.
It certainly is. Shows a long-term institutional perspective, right?
Definitely. And it seems it's not just the giant asset managers thinking long-term. The sources also mention corporate adoption.
That's right. There's news about a company based in Japan. They've officially announced they've bought Bitcoin, added it to their balance sheet.
Following through on something they mentioned before.
Yeah, apparently they first signaled this intention back in February, and now they've actually done it. Joined the ranks of companies holding Bitcoin.
Okay, so we have institutional long-term vision, corporate adoption. What else is in there amidst the dips?
Well, interestingly, the reports also highlight specific crypto projects that seem to be bucking the trend, or at least trending for their own reasons, growth factors. The material mentions BNB seeing a big surge, like 275%, Polkadot showing some upward movement too. And there's also mention of BlockDAG, specifically their X1 miner app, cited as driving mass adoption, apparently in over 150 countries, ahead of their main network going live.
So individual project momentum as well. Okay. Let's try and connect these dots then. What does this snapshot from June 13th really tell us based on everything in these sources?
Well, it paints a really interesting picture, doesn't it? Almost contradictory in a way.
How so?
You've got these reports of sharp market dips, massive liquidations, and according to at least one source, tied directly to immediate geopolitical events. Very reactive, short-term picture.
Right.
But then, running completely in parallel, in the same news cycle captured by these sources, you have huge players like BlackRock setting multi-billion-dollar, multi-year crypto goals.
Yeah.
You've got companies deciding to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets as a long-term asset, and specific technologies like that BlockDAG app apparently gaining significant traction and adoption. That's all pointing towards, long-term fundamentals building adoption.
So it's like the market is being pulled in two directions at once. Short-term shocks versus long-term belief or strategy.
Exactly. That's what's so fascinating of this specific collection of articles you sent for today. It perfectly captures that tension. The market is sensitive to these sudden external shocks, like geopolitics, if that report is accurate. But at the exact same time, there seems to be this underlying momentum driven by really fundamental things: institutional strategy, corporate treasury decisions, actual technological development and adoption. Today's newsfeed, as captured here, really shows both sides of that coin.
So for you listening, trying to grapple with understanding this often chaotic market, these sources today really highlight that it's never just one story, is it?
Yeah.
You've got multiple forces, sometimes conflicting forces, all swirling around at the same time. Global events, big finance strategies, individual company choices, tech progress. They're all hitting the crypto space simultaneously.
Yeah.
It really drives home why just, looking at a price chart on its own, it doesn't give you the full picture, not even close sometimes.
Absolutely right.
Well, this has been really insightful, digging into this particular snapshot from June 13th, 2025. Thanks for bringing this specific stack of sources to us.
My pleasure. It definitely gives us something to think about.
Yeah, like what?
Well, just building on what we saw in these reports today, think about this. If, as one source suggests, geopolitical events can trigger such huge immediate market drops and force massive liquidations,
Okay.
yet at the very same time, you have major sophisticated players like BlackRock reportedly making plans for tens of billions in crypto assets years down the line.
Right, that contrast again.
Exactly. So how do you personally reconcile that? The immediate, sometimes brutal impact of external shocks versus this seemingly steady long-term march of institutional adoption and tech build-out that's also described in today's news. What does that inherent tension tell you about how value works in this market? And maybe more importantly, how you should think about risk? Something to chew on.